Okay, good day to everyone. So we have come up with our final lecture for pathology. Okay, so I'm sorry for the delay because I have to consider a lot of things in the discussion of our ocular pathologies. So we will be discussing important ocular um, diseases that I think that would help and benefit you all. Okay, magagamit nyo to sa inyong mga future endeavors, especially pag nag-aral na kayo ng inyong ocular diseases. Okay, so let's start. Of course, in our every pathology discussions, okay, lagi tayong nag-start sa anatomy. So we will have a review of the anatomy of the eye. So this is the eye. I hope every one of you should all be familiar, okay, with the anatomy of the eye. Kasi yan ang inyong bread and butter. You cannot diagnose something, you cannot um, do physical examinations, you cannot explain the pathophysiology if you do not know your anatomy. Okay, so the eye, okay, is divided into the anterior chamber and the posterior chamber. Okay, so your anterior chamber, okay, is bounded anteriorly by your cornea. Your cornea is very clear, transparent, okay, um, part of the eye that actually adds to the refractive power of your eye. And approximately, the eye has about 60 diopters of refraction. Okay? And that is added by your cornea. So, sobrang hirap makakita. Okay? Sobrang labo ng mga bagay-bagay. Okay? Sobrang tawag dito, hindi malinaw. Okay? Kapag wala kayong cornea. And yung cornea natin ang pinaka tawag dito, tina-transplant usually. Kaya ng mga dinodonate, tina-transplant. Now, your anterior chamber is bounded posteriorly naman by your lens and by your iris. Okay? Let me use a pointer. So if this is the cornea, okay, this is the anterior chamber. Okay, your anterior chamber is bounded posteriorly by your pupil. Okay, the lens. Okay, the pupil. Okay, yung window. Then the iris. Okay, so that is bounded posteriorly. And the liquid or the fluid, okay, that goes around this anterior chamber is called the aqueous humor. Okay, and on the periphery of your cornea, you have there the white um, material. We call that as the sclera. Okay, and the sclera is covered by a connective tissue we call the conjunctiva. So the conjunctiva is the one that inflames in conjunctivitis. Okay? Hindi yung sclera. Okay? Sige. Now, after the anterior chamber, okay, sa likod ng ating lens, okay, is our posterior chamber. And the posterior chamber, okay, is bounded anteriorly by your lens, okay, the ciliary body, okay, the zonules, you see here the zonules, then and actually around, okay, around your posterior chamber, okay, is your retina. Okay? Then your retina, sa likod niyan, okay, posterior to the retina is your choroid. Then, again, sclera. Because the sclera is surrounding, okay, the globe of the eye. Okay? And then, yung pinaka gitna niya, okay, you will find there the optic nerve, okay? Mamaya, we will see um, the picture of the fundus. Okay? So you have to be familiar ano bang itsura ng fundus. The fundus is the posterior part of the eye. Okay? So we will go on for these different parts of the eye later on as we discuss different pathologies of your eye. Next. Now, let's go to cataract. cataracts. Okay, the term cataract describes lenticular. Okay, when we say cataract, nasa lens ang problema. Okay, nasa lens ng mata ang problema. Lenticular opacities that may be congenital or acquired. Congenital, syempre, pinanganak ka ng may katarata. Yung acquired natin, okay, comes from many, okay, etiologies. Po pwedeng systemic diseases, just like your galactosemia. Your galactosemia is the deposition of your galactose residues in your eye. Okay, that will cloud the lens. Magka-cloud yung lens ninyo. Type 2 diabetes mellitus, okay, yung sugar, it could also cloud the lens. Wilson's disease is the excess copper in the body. So the copper may deposit into the lens of the eye. Okay? And then atopic dermatitis, some autoimmune diseases. Okay? Then we have drugs, your corticosteroids, specifically your corticosteroids, because they can affect also the integrity of the lens. Then radiation, specifically your UV rays. Okay? Kaya I suggest, okay, yung mga tao, whenever they get glasses, okay, this is in no offense with your profession, that they should prioritize, okay, getting a anti-UV radiation coating rather than the anti-blue um, tawag ito, anti-blue rays, okay, or the parang yung anti-blue light, okay, because as far as I know, okay, what has been taught to us in ophthalmology, there is no direct contribution of the blue light to the development of pathologies in the eye. Mas nakakatakot ang UV rays, okay, because the UV rays can dissolve, okay, can dissolve the proteins in the lens, and that will bring about, okay, cloudiness, okay, opacification of your lens because malulusaw. Okay, malulusaw yung mga proteins. And then of course, trauma. Okay, trauma will induce epithelial reorganization, okay, in your capsule, in the capsule of the lens. And that will bring about cloudiness. So kapag nag-cloud ang inyong lens, okay, ang lenses, that will bring, okay, your cataract. That's why when you do a physical examination of the eye for those patients with cataract, okay, makikita nyo na immediately there is leukocoria or white reflection in the eyes. Kahit hindi nyo na siya ilawan ng flashlight or ng pin light, makikita nyo may white. Okay, may white opacification sa kanilang lens sa mata. Then we have what we call as age-related cataract, okay, which typically results from opacification of the lens nucleus, okay, due to nuclear sclerosis dahil nasa pagtanda. Okay, there's development of a lot of depositions in the nucleus or in the lens, okay, that will cause cloudiness of your lenses. Okay, and there's also the accumulation of your urochrome pigment. Your urochrome comes from the degradation of your bile. So if you have hyperbilirubinemia, okay, caused by several pathologies or several causes, okay, etiologies concerning your liver and the biliary tree, okay, the bile, okay, will not be processed and become will become polar, okay, water soluble. So mag-accumulate, okay, ang bile pigments, okay, sa different parts of the body until it can also reach your lens, okay. And if it deposits in your lens, okay, the pigment may render the lens nucleus brown, okay, kasi mag-oxidize siya doon. Mag-oxidize si bilirubin, magiging kulay brown siya. Okay? It will distort the individual's perception of blue color. So, magiging colorblind pa. Bukod sa may katarata na siya, naging colorblind pa siya. Now, what are the physical changes, okay, that contributes to the development of your cataracts? Okay? So, the lens cortex may liquefy. So, for example, in extreme ionizing radiations, okay, the UV rays, yung mga yung tawag dito, mga ginagamit sa laboratories or um, ginagamit sa mga machines, yan. So, that's the obvious reason why you should not be looking directly at the sun, okay? Because it really affects, or the UV rays can really dissolve your lens, okay? Then there's also this migration of lens epithelium posterior to the lens, okay, equator, which may result in posterior subcapsular cataract, okay, secondary to enlargement of abnormally positioned lens epithelium. So, ano daw to? This migration of your lens epithelium, okay, at the posterior portion of your lens, okay? So, let me orient you first. Ano yung, wala kasi dito yung yung picture illustration, but your lens, okay, is made up of your nucleus, which is located at the center of the lens, and then an anterior capsule, okay, which is located anteriorly, and a posterior capsule located at the back of the nucleus. Now, in cataract surgeries, okay, in cataract surgeries where they remove the nucleus and the anterior capsule, for example, your extracapsular cataract extraction, okay, so they extract the anterior lens capsule and the nucleus, okay, which and then they retain the posterior capsule, okay, so that there is a hammock for the placement of your ocular lens, okay. Because kapag hindi nalamanan, or when that eye, okay, that portion of the eye um, is not replaced by an IOL, okay, there will be a scarring, there would be um, tawag dito, tissue deposition, there will be proliferation of your lens epithelial tissues, okay, at the back, okay, posteriorly, at the back of your, at the posterior capsular portion of your lens. So, kapag sila ay nag-proliferate doon, magkakaroon kayo ng tinatawag na secondary cataract. Okay? So, there's proliferation of lens epithelial cells forming secondary cataract or secondary site. Okay, posterior, ang tawag natin dito is posterior subcapsular cataract. That's why, when we do the extracapsular cataract extraction, dapat immediately there is an IOL replacement. Kasi meron tayo isa pang way of removing your cataract, okay? It's called your intracapsular cataract extraction, where the whole lens is removed. Okay, wala kayong ititira. That's why kapag wala ka ng lens, okay, syempre wala na siyang refractive, nabawasan yung refractive power niya, hindi ka na makakakita ng malinaw doon. You give, okay, a phakic lenses. So yung mata ay yung salamin will serve as the lens. Okay? Will replace the lens. Okay? But if the patient does not want to wear lenses, wear eyeglasses, they could do the extracapsular cataract extraction. Yun nga lang, dapat meron sila agad IOL. And IOL, kapag binili mo, sobrang mahal. Around 30 to 50,000. Depende doon sa refraction na gusto ninyo. And depende kung monocular or binocular siya. Kasi yung iba, syempre, since tawag dito, lens yung ilalagay mo, okay, hindi na siya amenable for accommodation. Okay? Hindi na mag-accommodate yun. Kasi salamin lang talaga siya. Hindi siya yung katulad ng lens natin na nakadikit sa zone use. Okay? So, wala silang accommodation. That's why, yung iba, mamimili sila kung monocular or binocular. Mas mura syempre ang monocular. But the others will not be able kasi to see at near sight. Kaya yung iba far sight lang kasi monocular siya. That's why others opt to binocular. Mahal siya. Okay? And the requirement if you do an extracapsular cataract extraction is that you have to have the IOL kasi you will have a secondary cataract formation. Okay? If you do not place your IOL immediately after the surgery. So, that means that the definitive management for your cataract would be surgery. No other else. Okay? Unlike ng mga nagsasabi sa Facebook or sa other social media platforms that when you drink this, when you do that, it can dissolve your cataract? No. Okay, the answer is no. The only management for your cataract, okay, besides for from giving the aphakic lenses, okay, if they do the intracapsular cataract extraction, okay, pero kasi yon ay surgery pa rin, okay? So the only management for your cataracts is surgery, removal of the lens, okay? Either by intracapsular cataract extraction, you remove the whole lens, extracapsular cataract extraction where you um, tawag ito, tinira mo, okay, yung posterior lens capsule, or meron pa tayong tinatawag na phacoemulsification. Okay, so they create a small slit in the anterior capsule, okay, and then they insert a needle, okay, that will vibrate, and then it will vibrate and then um, destroy, okay, the lens. Okay, the lens nucleus. It will destroy the lens nucleus, and then may suction na magsasak ng debris. Okay? And then lalagyan ulit nila ng IOL yon. Okay? So anong difference niya lang is that mas mabilis siya, mas maliit yung slit na gagawin mo sa anterior capsule, and it will preserve the anterior capsule. Okay? Next. So let's have your glaucomas, okay? So your glaucomas refers to the collection of diseases characterized by distinctive changes in the visual field and in the cup of the optic nerve, okay? So usually when we say glaucoma, there's buildup of pressure, okay? Except for your normal tension glaucomas, okay? So most of the glaucomas are associated with elevated intraocular pressure. Although some individuals with normal intraocular pressure, ito yung sinasabi ko kanina, your normal or your low tension glaucoma, okay? So they have this glaucoma pero wala silang nararamdaman na pressure, okay? There's no buildup of your pressure. Now, the normal pressure inside the eye is about 10 to 20 millimeters mercury. But when you have the typical glaucoma, the pressure inside the eye will reach up to more than 50 millimeters mercury, and that will give you um, pain. Okay? So, napaka-painful ng glaucoma ninyo because it will stretch a lot of nerve fibers, okay, um, in your eyes, okay, in the globe of the eye, okay, lalong-lalo na dun sa anterior chamber ninyo, okay. So that's why the manifestation of your glaucoma would be painful blurring of vision. In your cataracts, okay, the manifestation of your cataracts is blurring of vision din, pero painless naman siya. Hindi siya masakit. But in your glaucoma, since there is buildup of pressure inside, it's called painful blurring of vision. There is painful blurring of vision. So let's categorize. Ano tong glaucoma natin? Okay, what are the types of your glaucoma? So here is an illustration, okay, of the anterior chamber of your eye. Okay, so the normal, okay, so yung inyong aqueous humor, okay, doon sa inyong anterior chamber is produced by your ciliary body. Okay? And then, that fluid, okay, will travel. Ano bang non-purpose nun? Bakit magpo-produce ang ciliary body ng fluid? It helps to lubricate the eye. Okay? It helps to lubricate the eye. Now, once the ciliary body produces, okay, produces the fluid, the aqueous humor, it will now traverse, okay, your posterior chamber, and it will go, okay, under, beneath your iris to the anterior chamber. And then finally drain, okay, into the Schlemm's canal and in your trabecular meshwork. So the trabecular meshwork is like very, 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 very small blood vessels, okay, that will absorb, okay, the fluid, and it will circulate it again, okay, around the globe, around your eye, okay, so that it will go into the posterior chamber, okay, again, and into the anterior chamber. So circulation lang yan, okay, ng inyong fluid, ng inyong humor, okay, your aqueous humor. Now, any impedance, ibig sabihin magbara, yung kahit isa, dyan, sa mga um, sa mga daanan ng inyong fluid, okay, there would be glaucoma because there is build up of fluid. Pag nag-build up yung fluid dyan, okay, magkakaroon kayo ng pressure. Okay? And when the pressure builds up, okay, sufficiently enough that it can cause stretching of the nerve fibers, okay, there would be pain. Okay? Now, your glaucoma, okay, is categorized into angle closure glaucoma and your open angle glaucoma. Okay? So, asan yung angle ba natin dyan? Your angle would be this one. Okay? It is composed of the part of your cornea, a part of your iris, and your ciliary body. Okay? Now, bakit importante itong angle na to? Because this angle, okay, dito magdi-drain yung inyong fluid, yung aqueous humor ninyo, so that it will go into the Schlemm's canal, okay, be absorbed by your trabecular meshwork. Now, in some cases, okay, in your closed angle, okay, closed angle glaucoma, okay, yan o, nakita ninyo, dumidikit yung part ng iris doon sa cornea. So what happens is that it blocks, okay, it blocks the drainage, okay, of your aqueous humor. So saan siya magbi-build up? Dito sa posterior chamber. Dito siya magbi-build up. Okay? So bakit? Bakit ba? Paano ba nangyayari yung ating mga yung ating open angle or yung close angle glaucoma natin? Okay? So, usually, nangyayari yan kapag mayroong hyperopia or farsightedness yung isang tao. Okay? The anatomy of the globe in hyperopic person, okay, would be ito, more wide, okay, more wide than it is anteroposteriorly elongated. So, imbes na equal, okay, yung sides, okay, equal yung length niya anteriorly, posteriorly, and on the lateral side, okay, mas mahaba ngayon yung lateral portion ng inyong mata. Okay, so mas pahaba siya on the side. Okay? That's why that's why the light, okay, will traverse, okay, more than the retina. Okay, lalagpas siya ng retina. Okay, hindi siya mafo-focus sa harapan ng retina. Unlike your myopia, okay, where the globe of the eye is elongated. Okay? Kaya ano mangyayari sa light? Doon lang, hindi siya tatama sa harapan ng retina. Okay, tatama siya, kakapusin siya doon sa harapan ng retina. Nasa harapan siya ng retina pero kapos siya, hindi siya nag-touch doon sa mismong retina. Ngayon, kapag pahaba siya on the side, okay, yung globe ng mata, what will happen to the angles at both side? It will be stretched. So, ang mangyayari, pag na-stretch siya, mag-narrow itong angle. Okay, until such time na pag nag-narrow siya, magkukos siya ngayon ng closure. Didikit. Okay? Didikit siya. Okay? Nag-narrow, dumikit siya. So, anong mangyayari? Since your ciliary body, okay, hindi naman yan nag-i-stop na mag-produce ng aqueous humor. Okay? So, produce ng ganyan, okay, nabarahan to, nabarahan, okay, nabarahan yung inyong angle. Now, what happens is that the fluid here at the posterior chamber, okay, accumulates. Okay? Nag-accumulate siya. Tapos nakita niyo itong iris, okay, dumikit na siya doon sa lens. Okay, because of that pressure, because of that tension. Okay, dumikit siya doon. So, ano mangyayari? May ipon dito yung aqueous humor. Okay? Pag naipon dyan yung aqueous humor, ano na mangyayari? There will be build-up of pressure. Okay? And that build-up of pressure causes stretch of the nerves, okay, surrounding the eye, and that will bring about your glaucoma. Okay? So there is blurring of vision because hindi na makakagalaw ng maayos yung lens. Hindi na siya makaka-accommodate ng maayos. Okay? Because of that pressure, it constrains your lens. Okay? Now, both open angle and angle closure glaucoma, okay, can be subclassified into primary and secondary types. Now, primary angle, open angle glaucoma, okay, which is the most common glaucoma, okay, the angle is open and few changes are apparent structurally. Okay, sabi nga natin kanina, pag open, kapag close angle, nakadikit yung sa angle. Okay, pag open angle naman, okay, bukas siya. Okay, but meron siyang isang problema. Okay? Now, kapag secondary, okay, pag sinabi nating secondary naman, secondary to something siya. Okay? I'm sorry, hindi ko nasabi kung ano yung ibig sabihin ng open angle glaucoma. So, if you will remember, okay, doon sa angle closure glaucoma, nakadikit yung angle, okay, yung iris doon sa part ng cornea. So, ano mangyayari doon? Mababarahan yung inyong canal of Schlemm. Now, sa open angle glaucoma, nakabukas yung angle. Pero ano ang problema ninyo? There is a problem in your canal of Schlemm and the trabecular meshwork, specifically in the trabecular meshwork. Okay? Either may problema or hindi maka-absorb yung trabecular meshwork or may nakabara doon sa trabecular meshwork na yon. Okay? So, ano yung mga causes ng ating open angle glaucoma na secondary? Okay? Yung primary natin, ano yan eh, tawag dito, idiopathic. Okay, ando dun na siya. Or congenital, ando dun na siya. Okay, kaya siya tinawag na primary. This is the most common type of glaucoma, yung ating primary open angle glaucoma. Now, kapag nag-secondary na tayo, secondary open angle glaucoma, ito yung mga causes natin. Okay? So, pwede magkaroon ng pseudo-exfoliation glaucoma. Okay? This is the most common type of your secondary open angle glaucoma. Okay? It is associated with deposition of fibrillar materials of varying composition throughout the anterior segment. So, there's this deposition of your fibril, okay? Fibrillar materials, may mga fibers, okay? Doon sa anterior segment ng inyong eye. So, anong mangyayari? Itong mga depositions na to, babara sila doon sa canal of Schlemm. Pag bumara sila doon, anong mangyayari doon sa aqueous humor? Hindi siya magdi-drain. Okay? Pag hindi siya nag-drain, there will be build-up of aqueous humor in the anterior chamber. Okay? So, parehas lang sila ngayon ng kahihinatnan ng inyong angle closure glaucoma. Okay? There is still a build-up of your aqueous humor. Okay? So, doon sa ating open angle glaucoma, open ang angle, pero may bara kayo sa canal of Schlemm. Sa angle closure natin, nagsarado. Okay? Nagsarado yung angle, kaya hindi ngayon makadrain yung inyong aqueous humor. Okay? Ano pa? Particulate materials such as your high molecular weight lens proteins produced by phagolysis, senescent red cells after trauma. Okay? This is called your ghost cell glaucoma, your iris epithelial cell granules or your pigmentary glaucoma, and necrotic tumors or your melanomalytic glaucoma, okay, can cause, okay, clog, okay, to the trabecular meshwork. Okay? So these etiologies, okay, pare-pareha sila ng ginagawa doon sa trabecular meshwork. Binabarahan nila. Okay? So, kapag binarahan nila yan, hindi na madidrain ang inyong aqueous humor. Okay? So, trauma, no? So, kapag ano naman tayo, angle closure, okay? In primary angle closure glaucoma, it develops in the eyes with shallow anterior chambers often found in individuals with hyperopia. O, ito na yung sinasabi ko kanina. Shallow daw yung kanilang anterior chamber kasi nga widened siya laterally at the side of the eye. So, nahihila ngayon yung inyong angle. Okay? Pag nahila siya, syempre magnanarrow yun until mag-close siya. Okay? Transient apposition of the pupillary margin of the iris to the anterior surface of the lens may result in obstruction to the flow of aqueous humor through the pupillary aperture. So, nahila daw yung inyong iris. okay, sa anterior surface of the lens, nahila siya. Okay? So, na-press siya doon. So, nahila siya, na-press yung inyong iris doon sa lens. Okay? Ngayon, nag-cause siya ng obstruction. Okay? Bukod sa nag-narrow yung inyong angle, okay, si iris ninyo, na-press pa siya. Okay? There is transient apposition. Okay? Na-press siya against doon sa lens ng inyong, doon sa anterior portion of your lens. Okay? Because of that stretching. Ngayon, hindi makakadaan si inyong aqueous humor doon sa beneath ng inyong iris to go into the anterior chamber. Okay? So, continued production of your aqueous humor by ciliary bodies, okay? Pressure elevation in the posterior chamber kasi nga hindi nga makadaan yung inyong aqueous humor doon sa ilalim ng inyong iris because there is a position of the iris in the anterior capsule of the lens. May bow the iris periphery forward. Okay, this is called your iris bombay. Okay, bow forward kasi nga tawag dito magbabow forward, okay, yung inyong iris because of the pressure at the posterior chamber opposing the trabecular meshwork. Okay? So, hindi na ngayon makadrain yung inyong trabecular meshwork, yung inyong angle. Okay? Nasaraduhan na siya. So, since the lens is avascular and the epithelium in the lens depends on the aqueous humor for nutrition, elevation in pressure can damage the epithelium. Okay? So, yung lens ninyo, okay, nagde-depend siya ng nutrition doon sa aqueous humor na nagsisirculate doon sa posterior at anterior chamber. So, bukod sa siya ay naglulubricate ng eyes, it brings about nutrition to your lens. Okay? So, kapag nawala, okay, or there is an elevation of the pressure, okay, into the anterior capsular lens. Okay, kasi nandoon yung lens ninyo, okay, nag-build up doon yung inyong aqueous humor, okay, yung pressure, pwede niyang mapatay yung epithelial cells on your lens capsule. Okay, it can lead into anterior subcapsular opacity. So, para siyang nagkakatarata. Okay? Pwede kang magkaroon ng katarata because of your glaucoma. Okay, so, patong-patong na siya. Ngayon. So, in secondary causes of your angle closure glaucoma, contraction of various types of pathologic membranes, okay, that form over the surface of the iris can draw the iris in the trabecular meshwork, occluding aqueous outflow. So, tawag dito, kapag may certain formations, okay, on the surface of your iris, for example, vascularization in the surface of your iris, okay, this can occlude, okay, the aqueous outflow doon sa inyong angle closure glaucoma. Okay, for example, chronic retinal ischemia, okay, is associated with the upregulation of your vascular endothelial growth factors and other proangiogenic factors. The appearance of your VEGF in the aqueous humor is thought to induce the development of thin, clinically transparent fibrovascular membranes over the surface of the iris. So if you would remember yung slide kanina, there is a formation of the blood vessels, okay, or fibrovascular membranes doon sa iris ninyo. Okay, that will cause pagdikit, okay, nung iris ninyo doon sa cornea. Okay, so pag dumikit siya doon, magko-close yung angle. Okay, because ano ba yung nagpo-form ng angle ninyo ulit? It's the iris and the cornea. Okay, so there is formation of your fibrovascular membranes in the surface of your iris. Okay, this is parang sticky kasi siya, madikit. So it will adhere into the cornea. So magsasarado yung inyong angle. Contraction of myofibroblastic elements, okay, in these membranes leads to occlusion of the trabecular meshwork. Okay, this is what you call as neovascular glaucoma. Okay, so bukod sa nagsarado yung angle, okay, na-occlude pa noong membranes na yon, yung inyong trabecular meshwork. Remember, your trabecular meshwork is where your aqueous humor drains to. Okay? So, kapag may problema ka sa trabecular meshwork, magkakaroon ka ng tawag dito, elevation of or accumulation of the aqueous humor into the anterior segment of the eye, glaucoma ka na. Okay? Now, ang difference lang nun is that kapag sa angle closure ninyo, mas emphasize kasi yung pagko-close mismo ng angle kaysa doon sa inyong trabecular meshwork. Kasi sa inyong open angle glaucoma, bukas ang angle mo pero may problem ka sa trabecular meshwork or doon sa canal of Schlemm. Okay, so these processes, okay, or these events, okay, will lead into the obstruction of the outflow of your aqueous humor. So any obstruction or any impedance to the outflow of your aqueous humor will result into glaucoma. And your glaucoma, okay, ang kanyang clinical manifestation ay painful blurring of vision. Remember that. Now, let's go to your uveitis, okay? So, the uvea, okay, is composed of your ciliary body, the retina, okay, and the choroid. Okay? So, doon sa illustration natin kanina, okay, so isang buong diretso yon, okay? So, from the ciliary body, okay, ano ba yung loob ng inyong fundus is made up of the retina, okay? And then kapag na-stretch pa siya pataas, okay, choroid na yon, part na yon, okay? So, the uveitis is inflammation involving these parts, okay? So, an iritis, okay, that develops after a blunt trauma to the eye or that accompanies corneal ulcer is technically a form of uveitis. Okay? Kasi, inflammation of the iris. Okay? Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. It's not the actually the retina, okay, na part. Okay? It's the iris pala. The iris, the ciliary body, and the choroid. Okay? Nagtypo yung ating yung pagkaka-type ko. Okay? So, it's the iris, okay? Yung iris ninyo, pag dinere-diretso nyo yun, okay, matatamaan yung ciliary body. Okay? Pag dumire-diretso pa siya sa taas, okay, choroid na. Okay? So, an iritis, okay, is an inflammation of your iris. Now, kapag nag-inflame yon, okay, it's already called uveitis. Okay? Kasi nga part siya ng inyong uvea. Okay? However, okay, clinically, uveitis is restricted to a diverse group of chronic diseases that may be either components of a systemic process or localized to the eye. So yung uveitis ninyo is more than just the inflammation of the parts, okay, of your uvea. Okay, it entails more than to that. Okay, that's why kapag dinescribe siya clinically, okay, yung uveitis ninyo is a very very bigger scope. Okay? So uveal inflammation may manifest principally in the anterior segment or may affect both the anterior and posterior segment later on. Okay? Kasi yung inyong uvea is located in the anterior chamber. Okay? Remember, your uvea is made up of your ciliary body, the iris, not the retina, and the choroid. Okay? Typo lang yan. Okay? So, uveitis may be caused by infectious agents such as your pneumocystis carinii, okay? Idiopathic, ibig sabihin, hindi nila alam kung saan nanggaling, okay? Such as your sarcoidosis. Okay, sarcoidosis is the accumulation of materials, okay, in certain part of the body, okay? So, iba-iba yan, composition ng materials na yan. Basta accumulation siya of materials. Or autoimmune in origin, such as your sympathetic ophthalmia. Okay, later on we will be discussing that. So, your sympathetic ophthalmia, okay, is a non-infectious or autoimmune uveitis limited to the eye. This is characterized by bilateral granulomatous inflammation typically affecting all components of the uvea or what you call as panuveitis. Pag sinabi ninyong pan, all. Okay? Panuveitis. Now, your sympathetic ophthalmia blinded Louis Braille. Okay? Louis Braille is the person that invented your Braille system. Okay? Yung kinakapa, okay, para mabasa. In the injured eye, a retinal antigen sequestered from the immune system may gain access to the lymphatics in the conjunctiva and thus set up a delayed hypersensitivity reaction that affects not only the ipsilateral but also the contralateral eye. Now, ang pinanggalingan nitong sympathetic ophthalmia is una muna mayroon kayong trauma. Okay, may trauma muna sa eye. So that trauma causes now an avenue or a way, okay, for the cells, okay, of the immune system, okay, to reach the eye. Okay? And then i-destroy nila yung part na yon ng mata. Okay? Now, your sympathetic ophthalmia is characterized by diffuse granulomatous. Okay, there's granuloma. Okay, granuloma formation because this is a delayed hypersensitivity reaction. At napag-usapan na natin to last time. Okay, your hypersensitivity reaction. Pag delayed siya, delayed hypersensitivity reaction, it's called type 4 hypersensitivity reaction. Okay? So there is granuloma formation. Okay? So alam nyo na kung ano ang mga components ng inyong granuloma. Okay? Plasma cells are typically absent but eosinophils may be identified in the infiltrate. Okay? So, ang inyong granuloma, okay, ang component niya doon sa inyong sympathetic ophthalmia would be more of the eosinophils. Okay? And treatment includes giving immunosuppressants so that there would be no more, walang masyadong immune cells ang pupunta doon. Bakit ba pupunta doon ang immune cells? Because there is injury, di ba? Napag-usapan natin yan sa inflammation. Merong injury doon sa site, syempre magre-recruit sila ng immune cells so that that site will be repaired. Ngayon, anong mangyayari kapag masyadong marami sila doon? Pwede nilang ma-destroy, okay, yung parts na yon. So, para hindi siya ma-destroy, okay, mag-i-immunosuppressant ka para kokonti lang yung pumunta doon. Siyempre, hindi naman po pwedeng wala. Kasi nga, wala naman magre-repair nun ng kusa. So, konti lang yung pupunta doon para hindi siya masyadong tawag ito, mag-inflame, hindi siya masyadong ma-destroy, okay? Hindi siya masyadong mag-cause ng destruction doon sa part na yun ng eye, yung inyong uvea. Okay? So, histologically, okay, this is your sympathetic ophthalmia. Okay, there is granulomatous inflammation, okay, depicted entirely, okay, throughout the uvea. Okay, this is a tissue, okay, from your uvea. Okay, so the uveal granulomas may contain melanin. Okay, nakikita niyo to, may mga kulay-kulay dito. And nakikita niyo din yung mga cells nila may hyperchromaticity. Okay? Yan. And sometimes there are immune cells na nakakalat dito. Okay? So meron kayong melanin pigment, okay, accompanied by your eosinophils. Okay? So melanin pigments. Okay? So ito ang bumulag kay Braille. Now, let's talk about the neoplasms in your uvea. Okay? So the most common intraocular malignancy of adults is metastasis to the uvea, typically to the choroid. Okay? So the occurrence of your metastasis to the eye is associated with an extremely short survival, and the treatment of ocular metastasis usually by radiotherapy is palliative. So the prognosis is poor kapag nagkaroon kayo ng metastasis, okay, or neoplasms to the choroid. Okay? So uveal melanoma is the most common primary intraocular malignancy of the adults. Okay? So, iba yan sa retinoblastoma ninyo, ha? So, ito, ang naapektuhan niya is the choroid. Okay? Pero yung retinoblastoma ninyo is the retina, of course, obviously. Okay? So, the most important oncogene, okay, or remember your oncogenes, in uveal melanoma are your GNAQ and your GNA11, both of which encode for G protein-coupled receptors. Okay, ano ba yung mga G protein-coupled receptors natin doon? Last time, it's your receptor tyrosine kinase, okay, your JAK2 kinase, okay, if there are mutations to that, there would be proliferations and growth of cells. Okay? So, roughly 85% of uveal melanomas harbor a gain-of-function mutation in one of these genes that activate pathways that promote your proliferation, such as your mitogen-activated protein kinase. Remember sa receptor tyrosine kinase ninyo, bukod sa RAS, may kasama siya yung isa, MAPK. Okay, your MAPK. So if there's mutation to this signaling pathways or signaling mechanisms, there would be a gain of function. So ano yung na-gain niya? There is proliferation of cells. Okay? And this time, it's your cells that contain pigments. Okay? Your melanocytes. Okay? That's why it's called uveal melanoma. Now, here's the fundoscopic and histologic picture of your uveal melanoma. So, fundoscopy muna. Okay? So, this one is the optic disc. Okay? So, makikita ninyo yung colored. Okay? Okay? So, relatively flat pigmented lesion, okay, of the choroid. So, yung letter B natin, okay, this same individual din siya, several years later, okay, the tumor has grown. Okay? Lumaki na yung tumor. Nakita ninyo may clearing dito kasi na dyan lumaki yung tumor. Ito. So, nakikita ninyo itong kulay na to, kulay black na to, that's the choroid eh. Nag-breakthrough na siya doon sa inyong Bruch membrane. Okay? Part yan doon sa inyong pagitan ng inyong retina at ng inyong choroid. Okay? So, the Bruch membrane is the, para siyang, tawag ito, hati. Okay? Between the layer of your choroid and your retina. Okay? So, ayan. Ayan yung tumor. Okay? So, nag-breakthrough na siya doon sa inyong choroid sa inyong retina. Okay? Lumaki na siya. Okay? So, itong itong ating histologic picture, okay? So, these are melanoma cells associated with the diverse outcome. Melanoma cells. So, nakikita niyo itong mga brown, 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 okay? Those are the melanoma cells. Okay? So, the prognosis of your uveal melanoma is very, very poor. Pangit. Okay? Oh, sorry. This is a repetition of the slide. Okay, so tapos na tayo sa anterior chamber. Let's go to the posterior chamber. Okay. Oh, pero bago yan, let's have a review first of the fundus. Para hindi nyo naman makalimutan, your fundoscopic examinations is very important. Okay? Kasi hindi lang na mahirap makita, okay, yung state ng eye sa harapan lang sa anterior chamber. Yung anterior chamber niyo makikita niyo yan sa slit lamp biomicroscopy. Pero yung inyong fundoscopic, yung ophthalmoscopy ninyo, makikita niyo yung fundus, yung posterior chamber. Okay? So, your optic disc, okay, is always located nasally. Okay? And your macula is located temporally, okay, on the temporal side. Okay? In your optic cup, you have there, in your optic disc, okay, you have there your optic cup. Okay? And within your optic disc, okay, makikita ninyo ang retinal arteries and retinal veins. Okay? So the arteries are yung mga yung mas makakapal at saka yung veins ay yung mas maninipis. And within your optic disc runs your optic nerve. Okay, nasa likod siya syempre. Okay? Hindi papasok sa loob ang inyong optic nerve. Nandoon lang siya sa stalk, nandoon lang siya sa may labas. Okay, nasa likod siya ng ball ng inyong eye. Okay? So it runs nasally your optic nerve. Okay? So, on the temporal side, okay, this is your macula at ang nasa gitna niya is your fovea. Your macula is the area where there is more cones. Okay, so that is the area of 20/20 vision. Okay, so you remember those fundoscopic anatomical parts. Now let's go to your vitreous and retina. Okay, if the anterior chamber has aqueous humor, okay, flowing within it. Okay, in the posterior chamber, you have the vitreous. your vitreous is a jelly-like, okay, jelly. So kapag in-slice mo in half, okay, your eye, may makikita kayong clear gel-like consistency doon sa loob. That's your vitreous, okay? And ayan. So this is a cross section of it. So no, not cross section, sagittal section, okay, of that um the fundus, okay, or the posterior chamber of your eye. Okay, so this is the vitreous, that's the jelly part. Okay, and then itong layer na to would be your retina. And your retina has, ilan yan? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 layers. Okay, remember this. And they are, okay, arranged specifically. Okay, so closer to your vitreous is your inner limiting membrane, followed by the nerve fiber layer, then your ganglion cell layer. So they pick up, okay, they pick up the light. Okay, they process that information. Okay, then you have the inner plexiform layer, the inner nuclear layer. Paglagpas sa inner nuclear layer, outer na lahat. Okay, outer at saka external. Then, para lang yung i-mirror image yung nandoon sa inyong inner. Pero, outer yung nakalagay. So, outer plexiform layer, outer nuclear layer, external limiting membrane, your rods and cones, and then the retinal pigment epithelium. Okay? So, itong part na to, nasa likod na to ng mata. Okay? Because ito, anteriorly itong itong vitreous ninyo. Okay? So, yan yung gel. So, ando doon sa taas yung anterior chamber. And ando doon sa taas yung lens. Okay? Now, let's talk about retinal detachment. So, mga specialty tong retina sa ophthalmology. So there are retina specialists. Meron tayong tinatawag na retina and vitreous specialist in your ophthalmologist. So they manage cases of specifically manage cases of retinal detachments. And when you manage these cases, ibabalik mo yung retina, okay, may machine na gagawa nun, pero magko-compute ka ng sobrang dami. Sabi sa amin nung aming mentor dati na retina specialist, they have to compute for the pressure that they will be putting inside your vitreous because since gel-like siya, there would be a lot of forces that would contribute to that pressure, specifically your buoyancy. Okay, because your retina is ang anterior portion niya is a gel-like substance, your vitreous. Okay? So, retinal detachment, okay, is the separation of the neurosensory retina from the retinal pigment epithelium. Okay? It is broadly classified by its etiology based on the presence or absence of break in the retina. So, kung nakita nyo kanina, yung pinakadulo, okay, ng inyong retina would be the retinal pigment epithelium. Now, kapag nag-detach daw, okay, yung inyong neurosensory retina, okay, neurosensory retina, which contains your rods and cones and the nerve fibers, okay, that's what you call as retinal detachment. And your retinal detachment is classified into two based on the pagiging intact ng inyong retina. So, number one, we have the regmatogenous retinal detachment. It is associated with full thickness retinal defect. Okay? So, retinal tears, okay? Pag sabi natin regmatogenous, okay, nahati. Okay, nahati yung inyong retina. Retinal tears may develop after the vitreous collapses structurally and the posterior hyaloid exerts traction, okay, on points of abnormally strong adhesions to the internal limiting membrane. Okay, so nag-collapse yung inyong vitreous, okay? Then pagka-collapse niya, nagkaroon ng traction, okay, nahila. Okay, nahila yung inyong retina. Ngayon, nung nahila yung retina, mapupunit siya. Okay? So your liquefied vitreous humor then seeps through the tear and gain access to the potential space between the neurosensory retina and the retinal pigment epithelium. So ano itsura niyan? So this one, okay? So this is the neurosensory retina. Okay? Yung pinakadulong layer niya is the retinal pigment epithelium. So this is a retinal detachment. Now, kapag regmatogenous, okay, mahahati yung inyong retina because of the ano, because of the collapse, okay, of your vitreous layer. Okay? So, na ano yan, tawag dito, naghiwalay yan. Pagkahiwalay niyang ganyan, it forms traction to your retina. Okay? Tapos nung nag-traction siya, syempre mahahati siya. Then, since gel-like fluid itong vitreous ninyo, it can seep through, okay, hanggang doon sa ilalim. Okay? Until it reaches, okay, that potential space between your neurosensory retina and the retinal pigment epithelium. And that will pose a lot of problem. Okay, kapag hindi siya naayos. Okay? It can cause blindness. Siyempre, ito alin bang magko-collect ng ng light information, okay, from the environment? It's your retina, 'di ba? So kapag yan ay napunit at natanggal siya sa attachments niya, then hindi na makakapag-process ngayon ng information yung inyong mga nerves. So wala siyang isi-send sa inyong brain. Okay? Kasi napunit siya. Next, your non-regmatogenous, okay, is a type of retinal detachment without tear to the retina. So buong retina ninyo na detach siya, tapos hindi siya napunit. Okay? Medyo okay to kasi ang poproblemahin mo na lang is paano mo ibabalik yung buong retina doon sa retinal pigment epithelium. Yung regmatogenous, paproblemahin mo pa ngayon kung paano mo idudugtong yung retina tapos ibabalik siya doon sa retinal pigment epithelium. So they can complicate retinal vascular disorders associated with significant exudation and any condition that damages the retinal pigment epithelium and permits fluid to leak from the choroidal circulation under the retina. Okay? So, pwede magkaroon ng leak. Okay? So, magkakaroon ng, pag na-detach yun, syempre magkakaroon ng space and then pwedeng may mag-leak, okay, na fluid into that space and that will cause now destruction of the retinal pigment epithelium. Okay? So, this is associated with choroidal tumors and malignant hypertension. Tumors because they can push through. Okay? They can push the, tawag dito, the retina para ma-detach siya. Okay? Choroidal tumors. Yung choroid ninyo, nandoon siya sa likod ng inyong retina. So kapag yan ay nagkaroon ng tumor, di syempre, mapupush niya yung inyong retina pataas. Okay? So pag napush niya yun, pwede siya maghiwalay. Okay? Malignant hypertension, we will be discussing that later on. Oh. So, there is a potential space, okay? There's seeping of fluid into this potential space between your retinal pigment epithelium and your neurosensory retina. So, look at your retina, it's intact, okay? And look at your vitreous, intact din siya. Okay, kasi saan ba ang problem? Saan nagkaroon ng problem? Doon sa choroid, doon sa ilalim nitong retina. Okay, na-push niya yung retina pataas because of the formation of the tumor here at the choroid. Okay? Or if there is hypertension, okay, to the blood vessels in the choroid. Okay? Because your choroid, may mga blood vessels din dyan. Now, if there's leakage, okay, of the fluid, okay, in your choroid membrane, okay, magsisip yan dito sa potential space between the retinal pigment epithelium and the neurosensory retina. So, ihihiwalay niya yan ngayon. Okay? Ihihiwalay niya yan. Yung tumors ninyo from the choroid will push this one, so maghihiwalay sila. If there's a hypertension, okay, and there's increased hydrostatic pressure that will cause seepage of your fluid, okay, in between, okay, this space, then mapupush niya din yung inyong neurosensory retina pataas. Maghihiwalay siya. There is detachment of the retina. So, kanina pa natin sinasabi, no, yung vitreous ninyo, pwede din siyang ma-detach. Okay? So, there's a lot of etiologies that could cause detachment of your vitreous. Okay? Pwedeng trauma. Okay? Na-detach siya. And, kapag na-detach to, okay, o pwede niyang isama itong retina ninyo. Okay? So, regmatogenous. Okay? Retinal detachment. So, Masama niya yan, mahihila niya yung retina, mapupunit. Okay, rhegmatogenous retinal detachment. Now, let's go to your retinal vascular diseases. Let's start with hypertension. So, in retinal arteriosclerosis, o ano yung arteriosclerosis? Pag sinabi nating arteriosclerosis, it's the narrowing, thickening of your arterioles. Arterioles are small arteries. Okay? So, the thickened arteriolar wall changes ophthalmic perception of circulating blood. Vessels may appear narrowed, and the color of the blood column may change from bright red to copper and to silver depending on the degree of vascular wall thickness. Bakit daw nag-iba na yung itsura? From red to silver, okay? Or copper yung color because hindi nyo na makita yung blood. Okay? Blood naman yung nagpapared doon eh. So kapag kumapal yung walls, hindi mo na ma-obstruct na ngayon yung, so kumbaga hindi na siya naging opaque. Okay? Naging ano na talaga siya, tawag ito, hindi na siya translucent, naging opaque na talaga siya. Okay? So, dahil sa pagkapal ng inyong walls. So, in malignant hypertension, pag sinabi nating malignant hypertension, this is BP more than 200 millimeters mercury. Okay, the systolic blood pressure of more than 200 millimeters mercury. The vessels in the retina and choroid may be damaged. Bakit? Sobrang taas ng pressure na yun. Okay? Sobrang taas ng pressure. And gaano ba kaliliit yung mga arterioles ninyo sa mata? Sobrang ninipis niyan. Mas manipis pa yan siguro sa isang buhok, isang perasong buhok. Now, kapag nilagyan mo yan ng too much pressure, ano mangyayari? Pwede silang pumutok, magsiputukan. Okay? So, damage to the choroidal vessels may produce focal choroidal infarcts seen as Elschnig spots. Okay? Elschnig spots. So, yung choroidal vessels ninyo, these are blood vessels, okay, beneath your retina, okay? Kasi yung choroid niyo ay nasa ilalim ng retina ninyo. Okay? Na po pwedeng pumutok. Okay? Pwedeng magkaroon ng infarct. Okay? Pwede siyang pumutok or po pwedeng magkaroon ng exudations, okay? Because of that increase in blood pressure. Okay? So, damage to the choriocapillaries. Okay? Yung choriocapillaries is part of your choroid plexus or yung choroid network of blood vessels ninyo. Okay? The internal layer of the choroidal vasculature may, in turn, damage the overlying retinal pigment epithelium and permit exudate to accumulate in the potential space between the retina and retinal pigment epithelium. O, ito na yung sinasabi natin kanina, no, doon sa ating basta yon. Nahirap naman i-pronounce sa mga ano na to, mga sakit na to. Non-rhabdomatous retinal detachment. Okay? So, tawag dito, because of that exudation of fluid, okay, po pwedeng maghiwalay, okay, mag-separate yung inyong neurosensory retina, okay, to your retinal pigment epithelium. Okay? So, occlusion of the retinal arterioles may produce infarcts of the nerve fiber layer of the retina. There is axonal damage, then accumulation of mitochondria at the swollen ends of the damaged axons creates the histologic illusion of cells. Okay, you call that as cytoid bodies. Now, the collection of cytoid bodies are seen ophthalmoscopically as cotton wool spots. So, kapag narinig kayong cotton wool spots, okay, that is hypertension in your retina. Okay? Because of the accumulation, okay, of your cells, okay, due to your hypertension. So, maraming effects ang hypertension sa katawan, specifically from your kidneys, okay, and your eyes, okay. Kamag-anak niya yan yung diabetes. So, it can affect large blood vessels and small blood vessels, okay. Now, this is a histologic picture. So, sabi niya, yung nakaturo, okay, yung mga arrows, okay, that's the appearance of your cotton wool spots. Okay? So, this is an infarct of the nerve fiber layer of the retina. Okay? So, ito yung retina ninyo, di ba? So, ito yung nerve fiber layer. Okay? So, there is an infarction. Okay? Because of that hypertension, malignant hypertension. Now, let's go to your diabetes. Okay? O yung diabetes din can um, create um, large vessel and small vessel pathologies. Okay? Pwede niya din maapektuhan ng kidneys at ang inyong eye. Okay? So, thickening of the basement membrane of the epithelium of pars plicata. Your pars plicata is part of the ciliary body. Okay? Of the ciliary body is a reliable marker of diabetes mellitus in the eye and is reminiscent of similar changes in the glomerular mesangium. Okay, so kino-compare niya, okay, yung changes na daw to sa eyes doon sa inyong kidneys. Kasi parang ganun din daw yung nakikitang changes dito sa ating diabetes mellitus. And ang ating diabetes mellitus ay may two types, okay, sa inyong retinal vascular disease. It could either be non-proliferative diabetic retinopathy and your proliferative diabetic retinopathy. Okay, non-proliferative, so walang formation of new blood vessels. Okay, so microaneurysms are an important manifestation of diabetic microangiopathy. Okay, so meron daw aneurysms. Paano nagkakaroon ng aneurysms? Because of the deposition of sugar. Okay, sugar crystals, okay, into the blood vessels. Okay, that causes now weakening of your blood vessels. Then, kapag, okay, nabingguhan nyo pa na meron kayong hypertension, syempre lolobo yan because of the weakening of the blood vessels, of the wall of the blood vessels. Lolobo. Pagkalobo niya, pwede siyang pumutok. Okay? So, microhemorrhages, okay, will now produce your vascular endothelial growth factor. Kasi nga, kailangan niyang i-repair yung mga pumutok-putok na ugat. Okay? So, vascular endothelial growth factor creates leaky blood vessels. Thus, the retinal microcirculation in diabetics are leaky, which can give rise to macular edema, a common cause of visual loss. O, yung inyong vascular endothelial factor, okay, since ang kanyang trabaho is in the proliferation of the endothelium, okay, of your blood vessels, okay, it can cause, okay, leaky blood vessels, okay, so it can permit the exudation of fluid outside of your blood vessels. And kapag nagli-leak yan, okay, there's an exudation of fluids, magkakaroon ka ng edema. Okay, edema where? In the macula. Okay? Sabi natin yung macula is the site of 20/20 vision. Okay? Kasi maraming cones. So, ano po pwedeng maging effect yan kapag nagkaroon ka ng edema sa macula? Visual loss. Okay? Now, let's go to your proliferative diabetic retinopathy. Proliferative because of the presence of angiogenesis, formation of new blood vessels. Okay, this is defined by the appearance of new blood vessels sprouting on the surface of either the optic nerve head or the surface of retina. Bakit nagkakaroon ng proliferation? Okay? Actually, itong proliferative diabetic retinopathy, nanggaling din niya sa non-proliferative. Pero dahil hindi na niya ma-overcome, okay, yung mga obstructions, yung mga occlusions, yung mga vascular damages brought by your diabetes, anong ginawa niya? Gumawa na lang siya ng bagong mga blood vessel. Okay? So, sprouting on the surface of either the optic nerve head or the surface of the retina. Gumawa na lang siya tuloy ng mga bagong blood vessel para i-divert, okay, or i-detour yung blood sa mga healthy na blood vessels. So the term neovascularization is applied only if the new blood vessels breach the internal limiting membrane of the retina. Or remember this, we can only diagnose proliferative diabetic retinopathy if there is now blood vessels in the internal limiting membrane of the retina. Pag umabot na daw sila doon. Now, neovascularization can disrupt the retina causing blindness or retinal tear. Okay? So, yung mga blood vessels na yan can go through the retina, okay, and sirain yung retina. Okay? Mapupunit. O, pag nasira, napunit ang retina, anong effect? Blindness. Okay? Next, let's discuss age-related macular degeneration. So this is a degenerative disease. So the macula, okay, kakasabi din natin kanina, is an area in the fundus where cones are abundant and where 20/20 vision is present. Okay? So AMD results from the damage of macula due to age. Okay, due to age. So may two types din tayo, parang yung ating diabetes, atrophic or you're dry and your neovascular or you're wet. So sa atrophic, it is characterized ophthalmoscopically, okay, as diffuse or discrete deposits in the Bruch membrane and geographic atrophy of the retinal pigment epithelium. Your Bruch membrane is the boundary, okay, between your choroid and your retina. Okay? And loss of vision is severe. Okay, nag-degenerate na daw. Okay, yung part na yon ng inyong retina. Sa inyong neovascular, okay, it is characterized by choroidal neovascularization defined by the presence of vessels that presumably originate in the choriocapillaries. Okay, choriocapillaries, ito yung mga network of blood vessels in your choroid and penetrate through the Bruch membrane beneath the retinal pigment epithelium. This can give rise to leakage, hemorrhage, and destruction of the retina. Okay? So because of the formation of the new blood vessels, okay, so po pwedeng magkaroon ng maraming blood vessels doon and then mag-leak sila, okay, mag-form sila ng fluid, okay, on that area of your retinal pigment epithelium or po pwede pa nga doon between sa retinal pigment epithelium ninyo and the neurosensory retina, okay, that can cause retinal detachment. Okay? So, anong effect niyan? Blindness. Next, let's go to your favorite, okay? The retinoblastoma. So, the most common primary intraocular malignancy of children which arises from neuronal progenitor cells. Okay, neuronal progenitor cells daw sila. Kasi sabi dun sa Robinson-Cotran ninyo, marami daw siyang pinagmulan, pwede din siyang glial cells, pero ngayon, na-determine na nila na sa neuronal progenitor cells daw siya galing. So in approximately 40% of cases, retinoblastoma occurs in individuals who inherit a germline mutation of one of the RB allele, okay? Then a second somatic mutation of RB gene, okay? So ano tong two-hit hypothesis natin? So nag-inherit ka ng isang RB gene na mutated, then okay, hindi pa siya magma-manifest, na-mutate lang siya, pero wala pa siyang manifestation sa'yo. Then, another RB gene, okay, throughout the lifetime of that person, kapag na-mutate ulit siya, okay, it will cause retinoblastoma. So, two-hit hypothesis, dalawang gene dapat ang ma-mutate niya para magkaroon siya ng retinoblastoma. Okay? So, una, na-inherit niya yung mutated RB gene. Then, along the course of the life of that person or that patient, na-mutate niya din yung sarili niya or yung somatic, okay, somatic RB gene, then your retinoblastoma will manifest. Tumors may contain both undifferentiated and differentiated elements, okay? The former, which is the undifferentiated, appears as collection of small, round cells with hyperchromatic nuclei. Okay, later on we will see that. Okay, in well-differentiated tumors, there are Flexner-Wintersteiner rosettes. Okay, rosettes kasi mukha daw silang bulaklak, and florets reflecting photoreceptor differentiation. Okay, so well-differentiated daw siya tong part na to. But your retinoblastoma are tawag ito malignant. Okay? Now, this is the depiction, okay? Gross, okay? Intraocular tumor yan. Yan yung inyong retinoblastoma. That's why when you do physical exam to your retinoblastoma, makakakita kayo ng leukocoria. Pag naggawa kayo ng eye reflection test, okay? Ang normal dapat nun is red orange. Okay? Pero pag shinay ninyo, okay, directly on the eye at ang nakita niyong reflection ay white, lalong-lalo na sa mga bata, okay, at siya ay unilateral, it warrants investigation of retinoblastoma. Okay? That's why it's important yung inyong physical examination findings. Okay? Yung inyong leukocoria, importante yan. Kapag dapat na-recognize ninyo ano yung mga abnormal findings. Okay? Leukocoria is one of them. And your leukocoria, okay, produces your, is one of your physical examination findings that is true with your retinoblastoma. Okay? So your tumor cells daw dito sa inyong histologic picture, okay, appears viable when in proximity to blood vessels. But necrosis is seen as the distance from the vessel, okay, increases. Okay? Dystrophic calcifications, yung inyong mga black arrows, ito calcifications daw, is presence in the zone of your tumor necrosis. Then, yung inyong mga Flexner-Winter-Steiner rosettes, okay? These are arrangements of single layer of tumor cells around the apparent lumen are seen throughout the tumor. Ito, yan. Yan, yung mga bilog-bilog na yan. Okay, mga bilog-bilog na yan. Okay, Flexner-Winter-Steiner rosettes. Okay? Are seen throughout the tumor, and one such rosette is indicated with a white arrow. Ito, yun. Ayan. Ayan. Rosettes, kasi mukha daw silang bulaklak. Now, let's go to the last portion, okay? Let's talk about your optic nerve. This is important because it is also an important fundoscopic finding or physical examination, okay? Especially when we talk about increased intracranial pressure. Okay, so edema of the head of the optic nerve, which may develop as a consequence of the compression of the nerve, okay, from tumors or your increased intracranial pressure, okay, or from the elevations of the cerebrospinal fluid pressure surrounding the nerve, okay, which will produce bilateral disc edema. Okay, so because of that pressure, okay, meron increase kayo ng hydrostatic pressure. Okay, so yung mga blood vessels magkakaroon ng exudative process, then may transfer nila sa inyong disc, okay, in the retina. There would be bilateral disc edema. Okay? Mamamaga yung inyong optic disc. So typically, acute papilledema from increased intracranial pressure is not associated with visual loss. Hindi siya associated daw sa visual loss. Hindi siya makakakos ng blindness. Kasi reversible naman siya. Pwede siyang maging normal ulit kapag nawala or na-relieve yung intraocular pressure. So ophthalmoscopically, the optic nerve head is swollen and hyperemic. Okay, so yan, this is your optic disc. Okay, at yung nagsuswollen na yan would be the head of your optic nerve. Okay, remember, hindi nyo makikita dyan yung physically yung optic nerve ninyo kasi nasa likod siya ng mata, nakakabit siya doon sa likod ng mata. Okay, so ang makikita nyo lang is the head. Okay, magbabulge lang siya dito sa inyong optic disc. Okay? So, it happens or it is a result of increased intracranial pressure. So, kapag nakita nyo to sa fundoscopic examination ninyo, okay, you investigate further. Okay? Baka meron kang increased intracranial pressure. And makikita mo rin actually if there is an increased intracranial pressure if the pupils are anisochoric. Pag sinabi natin anisochoric, hindi pantay yung pag-dilate ng inyong pupils. Okay? Significantly about 2 millimeters. Okay? Significantly about 2 millimeters yung difference nung one pupil to the other pupil. Okay? That's why your physical examinations are very, very important. Okay?